Welcome back, everybody. I am Eric. This is Gary. Today we're smoking the La Flor Dominicana Colorado Oscuro. We're talking about the new Robin Williams documentary on HBO Max, a must-see. We are talking about some Ben & Jerry's facts. And let me tell you about the date I had last night, one that actually went well. All that and more, we are Cedar Culture.
Kick back and relax, it's time to shoot the shit. Hanging out with the broskies, Gary and Eric. Let the ash go long and the convo stay pure. That's Cedar Culture. That's Cedar Culture. That's Cedar Culture.
Let's bundle these leaves and burn them and suck on them. How you doing, buddy?
All right. You're glad, or excited you finally get to hear about my date last night now. It's funny, every time, like something kind of big happens to us, but not so big that we have to share it immediately. Mm-hmm. It's always like, wait for the episode. I'll tell you in the episode. And then it's like on the edge of your seat.
I know. Better be good.
Let's get into the stick first. Let's get it going. It's a long story.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I wanted to say publicly, so I know usually we trade sticks, but this is one that I am just very happy to kind of give you because you were a huge help in helping me unload our 26-foot U-Haul that we rented for our move, my wife and I. So we're very, very thankful to you.
And
so this is one of many gift sticks, but I appreciate
nothing that I like to do more than help somebody move hungover. So no, it was my pleasure, of course, and I really appreciate the stick. And I'm excited because actually, just yesterday, I texted you, and I was like, shit, we didn't pick a stick for this week. And then you were like, well, here's one I already set aside. And I didn't look. Well, you sent me a link.
Right.
And you were like, just take out the description. And the first sentence of the description was almost good enough to eat.
Yeah,
and I texted you back. I was like, I didn't even read the rest of it. It's just, you had me at good enough to eat.
I know, bud.
But then I didn't even look at the stick, though. And then now it's here, Colorado Oscuro. Nice
LFD.
And dark chocolatey.
Oh, yeah.
So,
got a little redness in that hue there.
It's funny you mention that. You probably can't tell, but so does my beard. And when I'm up close, like in the mirror or something, and certain light, I have straight, like red, like Ronald McDonald red hairs.
I have a buddy that's like that, but he's like gray and balding, so he's like, I used to have like little reds in there. So yeah, this is La Flor Dominicana.
I like that. I appreciate you not saying I'm balding and
No,
gray.
not you. Someone else.
No, I know.
Seriously.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like.
So this is La Flor Dominicana. I think that translates to like flower of the Dominican. But this is that same company that puts out the I don't even know how to say it, Andalusian Bull that was like rated best cigar of like 2 or 3 years ago.
You had one, right?
Yeah.
What'd you think of that one?
It was good.
I
remember liking the first one, and then I had another one, and I was like, maybe the hype was a little overhyped for cigar of the year. But it's also what cigars come out that year.
Well, that's the thing. It's what cigars come out that year, and then it got the hype.
It's all
taste, but then it all got the hype, and then it became unlimited supply. And then once it's unlimited supply, people still assume it's like the shit, and really it's just because of like that one article that said it was cigar of the year one year. But anyway, I'll tell you what. Just on first light, I'm digging this.
Dude, it had that barnyard smell that I liked, but just like you get that semi-sweet chocolate, that dry chocolate, just a smooth stick from the beginning. And I think this is one of those ones where even if I didn't know the company, if I never saw it, it's got strength.
Have you had it before?
No, but just these first few puffs. But this is a stick. Sometimes I say I would pass it up. I think this was a stick if I went in blind just from the wrapper, I would be like, I'm going to give this a shot, depending on what the price point would be.
I never liked LFD wrappers, though. Like, just the way they look in terms of, that's because I'm a peacock, you know what I mean? Like, and we both like the more outgoing stuff. By the way, nice shirt.
Oh, thanks, bud. Speaking of
the new release from Cedar Culture.
Humidor Dogs, going back to Reservoir Dogs.
Chilling with your sticks while you're chilling with your homies.
Yeah,
so definitely check it out, cedarculture.com. Also give us a follow on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate it. It goes a long way.
And share it with your cigar buddies. That way they can herf along with us. Do it.
All right. So let's let this stick open up a little bit while I get into last night. So, funny.
I have to live vicariously through your
this.
dating adventures.
Yeah, but 9 out of 10 times, that's like, you're good where you are, and I'm, it's only on the rare occasion of like, a successful, a couple dates where it sounds better than it is, but dating blows. But so first off, we went to Topgolf. I think I told you that, and you actually asked me a couple of days prior, like while I was helping you move, you were like, "Are you gonna let her win?" And so, her and I were texting. I was like a couple of days before the date, and I said I had told her that you had asked me that, and she was like, "Well, I hope you don't let me win because I would never let you win." In text message, I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
I like that personality off the bat.
But then what was cool is I was like, actually, what I told my friend was, I hope there's a game where we can be on the same team. And fight against the computer together. It'd be good team building. And she was like, "Oh, I really appreciate it. Like, I like that approach too, So that was cool.
That's the business guy. That's a team building, entrepreneurial Eric.
yeah, right. The team building. So,
but it's true. That's a great way to.
For sure. And dude, Topgolf, have you ever been?
No, but a couple of my buddies have. But it seems cool.
It is super cool.
While you're lighting, I'll say real quick why I had to borrow your V-notch cutter. My trusty Zycar, I lost one of the seminal screws to the end of it, so it's like hanging on by a thread. But I'll tell you what, good to their word. I messaged them on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey guys, I know you have that warranty. I don't really want to have to send it in. It's like my favorite cutter. I've had it forever now. Like it's probably going on 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Perfect ring."
Wow.
So they were like, "Listen, email this department. If they have extra screws, they'll send it to you."
Oh, nice.
So I was like, dude, just, not that they supply any of our stuff, but dude, just a company that stands by their stuff.
That is good.
So I'll keep you updates. I emailed them. They said they would do it and see if we get it.
All right.
So thanks for letting me borrow your V cutter, bud.
Yeah, no problem. Topgolf, its basic premise is it is a driving range with targets, but it's all like digital. So when you hit the ball, you look up the computer screen, it shows like a digital track of where the ball went. You get points. Kind of neat. Well, they just added Angry Birds games. So on the computer, it shows you the whole pigs in their building or whatever, and then you just kind of hit the ball out into the.
But you're hitting a real ball into like a net or a screen or something?
You're hitting it into a field.
Oh, you are hitting. Okay, I didn't know if it was like.
Yeah, no, it's a field that looks like it has a bunch of trampolines in it, but the trampolines are actually nets. And when the ball goes through the nets, depending on where it goes through the net, you get like a different amount of points depending on how far your kind of trampoline target is, that you'll get more points and everything.
Oh, I wouldn't.
And so on the computer screen, in this case, it puts the big Angry Birds thing, and so you just hit the ball like you normally would. But then when you're done hitting it, you look over the computer screen, and it instead of a ball on the computer screen, it's the bird, and it hits the pigs and the stuff. Super cool. We couldn't play on the same team though, so we had to play against each other. But anyway, so well, first I'll say I won the first 2 games. She won the next 2 games. So for a 5th game...
And legit? Like
everything was legit.
Yeah?
Yeah, everything was legit. The thing is, it was like, there's no rhyme or reason to it, and neither of us could aim.
Right,
so,
right.
You're
not a golfer.
No, not at all. I won the first 2, she won the next 2. Then we decided to play a different game altogether for the last one, and I beat the crap out of her. So...
What was that different game?
Just the way they score points and stuff. It's like unique. It's like their flagship game, because they have a bunch of different games.
Gotcha.
But yeah, man, it was cool. We hit like a couple. We didn't go deep, like deep, like into stuff. But we hit like a couple of the important topics at a surface level. We have very much aligned on like, again, at least on a surface level, like parenting style, wanting kids or not, like, just a couple of those big things. Sense of humor's in line, all that kind of stuff. We had a good time. And on the way out, she was like, well, because she's going to Florida tomorrow, which sucks, like for like 9 days. So it sucks. You go on a first date and then But anyway, shit happens. So. She's like, well, let's stay in touch while I'm in Florida. We'll do FaceTime dates, whatever, and then plan a date for when she gets back. So
great. So successful.
Successful. Sweet girl, really pretty. Good looking in person. It started probably a little awkwardly. Like the date, I was actually a little nervous in the first 5 minutes. I was like, oh, shit, is this just not going to go good? Like I don't know. But I think a lot of girls. Everybody, right? You have a little bit of a wall up when you first start dating.
Yeah. That's why it's really impressive to hear that you guys hit on some of those important topics like early on. Because in my mind, the traditional dating style is like you kind of meet someone either through friends or at a bar or whatever.
Right.
There's a connection. And then that stuff kind of comes up organically within the first couple weeks to a month.
Yeah.
Whereas you're at a stage where it's like that stuff's got to come out
a little older.
Early and like,
yeah, for sure. We're
whether
older.
It's politics or... wearing a mask in public or other stuff that comes up.
We kind of lightly touched on it, the mask thing. Luckily, we're at a point. She's vaccinated, I'm vaccinated.
Nice.
So we're both at a point anyway where we're like, we don't actually need to wear masks other than the mandates, and both of us have the same philosophy on that, which is we think it sucks, but like we follow the rules. So that's kind of cool. Like that, we
really
did
cool.
touch on it to that extent, but we didn't get into the political side of it at all, which is good because now, some people think that in today's day and age, and I'm not saying I actually disagree. I actually, up until probably a couple weeks ago, I agreed. In today's like climate, it could make more sense to hit like political topics.
Yeah.
Even before the first date, because it's become so divisive. But I recently decided I was going to really try to steer away from that because where I fall as like a sort of a centrist, I realized that if you're far on the left, depending on the topic we hit, you might think I'm far on the right.
That's a good point.
Right? And so I'd rather you get to know me and where my heart is first. Right. And in that way, when I tell you that I don't want to wear a mask anymore, I'm kind of over it, you don't think I'm just some crazy, you don't think that also meant I stormed the Capitol.
Exactly, yeah, with like a flag on your shoulder. No, man, that's awesome. So any ideas where if you could take her on a second date, like where?
Yeah, I actually texted her today. I was like, here's 3 things to think about. Indoor rock climbing, bowling, or dinner and a movie. And she said she's afraid of heights. I was actually hoping she'd pick that one. She seems like the adventurous type, but obviously you're afraid of heights. So so probably bowling.
What if you're like deal breaker? Never texted her again.
I never date a girl who's afraid of heights.
That's cool. Yeah, because bowling's kind of similar to the Topgolf. The rock climbing is kind of that adventurous, get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I thought that'd be good.
How do you deal with under stress?
Done that on a date. Like that's kind of wild.
And then dinner and movies are real traditional. But man, how are the movie theaters there starting to open up?
They're starting to open up, but I don't really know much about like what it's like. But I will say, man, she's definitely got a wall up, and it's going to be a tough one to break down. It's going to be a tough wall to break down.
If there's anyone that can break that wall, buddy.
I told her, I was like, I'm not scared. I'll put in the work and the effort, but it's going to take some time, I think, to like really get to know her.
Dude, good for you. And I text you and I tell you, dude, great guy, and I'm hoping there's a personality out there for you because. Be a good.
My mom agrees. Yeah, my mom would agree.
Mom says you're the cutest guy in school too.
Yeah.
Dude. So going back to like my move and stuff. I did not expect to get as emotional as I did, like leaving the house. Like you kind of think like it's a house, the whole family's moving. You sent me that Growing Pains.
The Growing
thing,
Pains
dude?
Series finale. Like when it was a couple of days before your move, and I was like, "Dude, you're gonna be like the Seavers, like when they left the house." And you like, remembered?
Mike Seaver was here.
Yeah, exactly. What was it? Was it the mom?
The mom goes back in for the picture on the mantle, takes it down, and he had written on the bricks.
And it's just a tearjerker.
Oh, it is. They do exactly what they.
You end that series finale shedding a tear, and I told you were gonna end like that.
And I didn't even connect it, but when the kids were first born, so almost 10 years ago now, we did a very small accent wall of chalkboard paint for the kids to draw on. Like you're gonna draw on walls anyway, do it with this. And like we always just kind of left it. Like Josie wrote her name, Marshall wrote his stuff, Holden had his stuff. And like cleaning that off was like, I made sure I took pictures with them in front of it, pictures of it.
And just cut the wall.
Well, and then the crazy thing is when our guest room became our first son's nursery, we didn't know how many we were going to have, but the guest room became the nursery.
Yeah.
We got a vinyl stencil of Bob Dylan's Forever Young, the lyrics to Forever Young. Like, may God bless and keep you always, may your wishes all come true.
That's Bob Dylan?
Yeah.
It's not
he wrote that.
Okay.
It's been covered a bazillion times.
I just know the Rod Stewart.
Right, yeah, but so that's probably a cover of a cover of a cover.
Yeah.
You also think Uncle Jesse wrote Forever. No, but...
The Rippers helped.
The Rippers did help. I think they covered that too. But so we had that vinyl stenciled on the wall. So after a decade, like you can't even differentiate wall from the vinyl. Like it's just a part of it, When we painted it, when it became the next child's room and then ultimately Josie's room, the girls' room, she was like, "Oh, I want like a softer color," because it was like green. Mm-hmm. But we painted around that border and then just bought a frame and framed it so it looks like it's a framed quote. So I'm kind of thinking, I hope the new owners are like, okay with like, here's a room with like, you think it's a picture, but it's.
That's funny.
I'm going to surprise Allie and the kids. Hopefully I'll try to do it before this airs, or it's going to be a Christmas gift or something. I'm going to make a canvas. I took like a straight-on picture of the frame and I'll get it like made into a canvas so she could either keep it in her room or whatever.
It was neat too, because I know you know, obviously the day of the move, like I saw, like, you know, it kind of impacts your kids too. And like, this is the only house they know. Like at their age, they don't even have the concept that they're really ever like gonna actually be an adult and actually leave that house one day anyway, right? Like that house is your whole world. And I mean, especially for your youngest, for Marshall, like how old is he?
6.
So like almost
the-
like 15% of his life has been the pandemic. Like literally in the house.
Yeah, you're right.
You know? And it's the most memorable. Like that 15% of his life probably accounts for like 60% of his memories.
And I told, did
all in the
I
house.
tell you my oldest son called me as we're at the table signing, and it was my youngest son saying he didn't want to move, and I was like,
And what'd you say?
I got the pet. I was like, all right, bud, we'll
bad.
figure it out. Here we go. But then you, even as we were moving my gym and everything
Yeah.
off the box truck, you stopped and looked at the kids on this 3 acres of field running around
yeah.
biking. You're like, this is the time of their lives. They don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
You
Dude,
know?
like, I like, especially when I saw your oldest, your boy, and your daughter, the middle, riding their bikes around, I just feel
like they own the place, like they'd been there for years.
like they've been there forever, but I just kind of looked over and I saw the way they were, I don't know, chasing each other or doing something. And I was like, I don't know. I just have a feeling like either when he goes off to college or whatever, like he's going to go off to college and like he's going to remember that of them together or vice versa or both or whatever.
It was a great memory. And then, dude, just the land that we have, you know, we were going from Atco where I could literally touch my neighbor's house standing at my house. You know how close those houses are together to having 3.65 acres. And that, you know, I'm finishing up the box truck and you had left and the kids are inside and Allie's getting food and the sun started to go down and like hit that tree horizon. I was like, wow, like this is where it almost was like Field of Dreams to me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, wow, like we got decades of work, but it's going to be fun.
You do, yeah. I mean, even like, any house you've got a decade of work in terms of, you know, making it your own over time. But with the size of your house and the property and stuff, yeah, I mean, you might have it where you want it right before you die.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll will it to the kids that way. And then we found that cool dead raccoon in the back.
That
of
was
the
a good
shed.
one. Yeah, it looked like it had crawled.
It must have got attacked by something.
But it looked like it had just like, you know, fit itself under your shed right before it died. And then it died, and rigor mortis set in, and now it's like too big you can't get it back out. From
I
the
will
shed.
say you were the only one ballsy enough to like. We're like poking at it and expecting it. The funniest though, I wish I had a picture of your
too.
face as you had kind of put this PVC pipe that we found in the trash in this land that we have. You like kind of poked it around. And because it's rigor mortis, like the raccoon kind of turns to the face, and we were all like, "Whoa, whoa!" Like
That's funny.
It looked like a comedy. Like
So funny, I guess it's kind of like some of my facts here, but they're not really my facts. It's from a documentary I just watched, and I wanted to tell you a couple things that kind of blew my mind. So I watched a Robin Williams documentary on HBO Max.
Ooh.
And it's pretty much the whole thing is it's not really documentary style in that like it's somebody's storytelling. It's mostly storytelling through his clips, unseen footage,
That's
unseen
cool.
footage. Super cool. So it's like most of him. It's a lot of him and the people closest to him. You know, obviously talking about him. But this is kind of neat. Robin Williams became friends with Robert De Niro. One night, Robert De Niro invites Robin Williams over to his hotel room. Robin Williams gets to the hotel room. Robert De Niro's in the hotel room with 2 women. Now, at this point, doesn't want to share, doesn't let Robin Williams in the hotel room. So Robin Williams is like, fuck it, I'll just go to John Belushi's house. Goes to John Belushi's house, realizes he's just so fucked up, like fucked out of his mind. Eventually goes home. That's the night John Belushi overdosed. He saw him. He was like,
God.
I don't know if he's the last person to see him before he died, but like, that's gotta mess with you. It did. Then they talk like it did mess with them. But isn't that kind of?
It reminds me of that. There's that last picture floating around of Chris Farley that I don't know if like the prostitute he was with took or whatever, but he's like on the floor. Maybe it's the corner picture. I don't know. But we're just on the floor and like one of the people. If you don't have to. 'Cause
Really?
It's not a flattering picture. Like I mean, he had overdosed, whatever. But like the prostitute he was with was interviewed, and she was like, he just kept saying like, I don't want to be alone. Don't leave me. And she's like, okay, cool, bye.
And then he died.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like his brother was supposed to meet him for lunch.
And that's not
then-
her fault.
Oh,
Just like
no.
it wasn't Robin Williams' fault that
Well,
he
I
saw
don't
him.
think
But
like,
that's
he
gotta
called
make you
her.
feel.
It's got to make you feel terrible. Like he had done whatever he had done prior to calling her.
Oh,
it's not
of
like they were
course.
like partying all night.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But just
yeah, man. I don't know, like there's the Dark Side of Comedy or something. There's an HBO type of a thing where they talk about Farley and him, and to be that slapstick and happy, like there's a sadness there, you know.
Yeah, it's like you're acting out.
I know how it like I'm when I'm nervous, like at funerals, I'm always like the first.
Tears of a clown, tears of a clown kind of thing, you know. So another kind of interesting fact that I learned from that. So.
I didn't know him and Belushi were like that close though to do that. Like,
Well, it was interesting. The documentary is
they were probably drug buddies.
Probably,
like,
but if you look at that time and like all the people that they're in pictures together, I mean, it's a young Leno, a young Letterman.
And Leno's not a drug, like I don't think.
Well, just because they were friends. Right. I mean, they all did drugs, but no, yeah, they just. I assume Leno wasn't, but
I just can't see them all hanging together. Hey, what's up, guys?
Well, I think Robin Williams seemed like one of the tortured souls. So like when John Belushi died, like he cleans up, and then he, I think Robin Williams was more of a social. They even talked about like when he was on the like early days, like on like at the Comedy Store and like whatever big comedy clubs, either on tour or in L.A. And he said like back then, this is like the late '70s or early '80s, or whatever. They would ask like, do you want to get paid in white or green?
Wow.
And then they talk about there too about once you start getting that fame, you go. I mean, like you go anywhere and there's a fan like drugs. Here, I want to be the guy that I had Coke with Robin Williams or whatever. And so
right.
It's just, I imagine us trying to do our diets when there's somebody coming every, 20 minutes, like, you want a slice of pizza? There's a donut.
No, you're right.
It's free.
You're right.
But so, Mork and Mindy, right? His first TV show. I don't know if you know this. I feel like I knew it but forgot that it was actually sort of a spin-off of Happy Days.
But
here's how it went down. I think his name's Gary Marshall, something Marshall, right?
Penny Marshall's dad.
Okay.
Produced,
yeah. So he realized his like 12-year-old kid wasn't watching Happy Days. And he said, why aren't you watching Happy Days? And the kid said, I forget what the kid referred to some other TV show. And he said, they have spacemen. You don't have spacemen. So he said, so Gary Marshall goes into the writer's room one day and he says, we need a spaceman. And so they write a spaceman in the Happy Days. I don't know what year that was in Happy Days.
Fonzie's going to jump his motorcycle over the space capsule.
Next, yeah. Imagine it. I almost wonder if that came after the shark. And if not, would the saying be different? Instead of like jump the shark, would the saying be like,
go to space.
They introed the alien instead of jump the shark.
True.
But anyway, so then apparently the way it all worked back then was like, I think the studios like Paramount or something had a contract with ABC. So when ABC was canceling a Paramount show, they had to refill it. I might be wrong with Paramount, but they had to refill it. By contract, it had to be another show from that studio.
Really?
The studio didn't have any more shows. So they all look at each other like, what do we do? And they're like,
use the alien guy.
That episode did well, and so they get him. But real quick,
if you're gonna cast an alien,
Robin Williams. I skipped a step real quick. So even casting the alien for the Happy Days episode, then the casting, whatever, they're like, well, where are we gonna get an alien? Like, who's gonna play the alien or whatever? And somebody in the room was like, hey, there's this comedian. He always has a hat out in front of him down in the corner of such and such. Seems really funny. Like, let's just go get him. And somebody
pull a guy off the street.
And
literally.
Somebody goes, "You're gonna get like a comedian working for tips." And the girl goes, "His hat's always full."
That sounds like something I would pitch to like you, and you'd be like, "Dude, you're an idiot."
Yeah. And so they got the guy doing comedy on the corner.
That's awesome.
And
Robin Williams.
There it was.
And I think his whole shtick was like he was from Russia. He'd always pretend like he wasn't from the United States. Like him and Andy Kaufman were big into that. Like,
I didn't see much of that. I mean, his shtick was always. I think Robin Williams' shtick, I think, was that he was always on and always fast. Mm-hmm. And they actually showed in some interviews where like somebody would ask a question and then that's it, and he just went and he does like.
Right.
Just
you didn't have to ask a follow up.
There was one time where they were at one of the comedy show clubs or whatever, and a lot of those comedians that are like a lot of them that are famous now, but they were all kind of on that circuit together. Mm-hmm. They talk about a time where the PA system went out, and normally you probably do like a 10 or a 15 minute, little bit, and then the next act. So like something happened, the PA system went out or whatever, and Robin Williams was like, I don't need a PA, and went out for an hour and just ad-libbed like through the crowd.
Oh my God. And that's where talent is, because so many comedians. We talked about Carlin in other episodes where he would like hone his craft and like he was so careful, like every word there wasn't an extra word or like he edited to the umpteenth degree.
They didn't get into it But
Whereas
they
he was just
say he
freeform.
did that too, and I don't know the marriage of the two, because a lot of it was improv, of course. But I don't know what the marriage of the two. I guess they did. What they said was they were like, for his style. Like they were like, you'd be surprised at how hard he worked on his craft and how much prep work he did and everything.
Oh, I think you have to
what
be
extent.
more prepared to go off the cuff than like anyone can memorize a couple jokes and a couple sentences, but to have, and you need to be so well versed and well read and read a crowd, and that's just a special person, man. You can like just get up and talk.
The other little thing, and then I'll get off Robin Williams. People can go watch it because there's so much more. I didn't know this. I loved the movie when I was a kid, Popeye, and I didn't know it was his first movie.
And it was like a flop.
Yeah, somebody.
Or for the studio.
Somebody had said to him like, "Welcome to showbiz," and he's like, he's like, I didn't think that was gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
I forget.
I liked it as a kid too because it was that like very like it looked like the comic strip.
It looked like the comic strip, and
it was so true to it.
It's
was
practical effects.
slapsticky,
It's
it
practical
was.
effects. Like it's the same thing I say with like even like a Godzilla back in the 70s or 80s or whatever compared to the Godzillas now. Like yes, it looks cooler. Or we talked about the movie It before, right? Like yeah, it looks quote better in a way, but there's something to that practical effects of even though it looks corny, it's like tangible.
I'll go one step further. So, and I don't know if it's just the era we grew up with and like you kind of love what you love, but video games. Like I would much rather go play like Mario, like old school. Like so in the new
That
house,
might just be the era.
It might be, but like as fun as it is to play these games that are so complex, there's something about just like pressing A and you're jumping and pressing B. Like it's.
Oh yeah, I don't
it's
like.
just the
I
simplistic-
don't play video games at all. But if I did,
I can't even keep up with my 9-year-old. Like it's just the hand-eye
there's too many
coordination of
buttons.
what he does, and you got to double tap that, and then this, and you got to read this. I'm like, I can't. How are you
Well,
doing
and the
all that?
problem is too, like I remember when my nephew's like 15, 16 now, but when he was, closer to your kid's age, I remember you like show me, right? And I mean they talk to you like you're an idiot that you don't know which each of those 50 buttons do already, like when they try to explain it.
Going back to simpler times, because we haven't had television, like we just got internet hooked up, so 3 days we've been in there without internet, which is almost a blessing in disguise.
But yeah, cell service, right?
Yeah. But right, like we weren't like a little house in the
Stone
prairie.
Ages
Like
all of a sudden.
I carved a wheel out of a larger wheel, but so.
If you were gonna like give yourself a talent on the home, your talent was I made a big wheel, a small wheel. Like
Exactly.
you're like, all right, we have to go back a couple hundred years. You're gonna be the blacksmith. You're gonna be. I'll make big wheels, small wheels.
I got that from one of my favorite Simpsons episodes, the chili cook-off.
Okay.
Where he has his own spoon, he pulls it out, and you can tell it's like hand carved. And his buddy Lenny's like, they say he carved it from a larger spoon. Which is always something I like recycle and reference because I love it. But we showed our kids, like they were like, what did you guys do before this and that? And my wife was like, I used to collect Pogs because they were talking about like Pokemon and stuff. I was like, not only collect, I was like, I played Pogs. Like it was like I enjoyed it. And my wife's like, I didn't even know you could like play it. We just collected them. And
Oh wow.
so like we were talking about Pogs.
Did she? Your wife still have?
No, because I still have mine under my parents somewhere.
Oh really?
Remember I was telling you I have that like O.J. Simpson slammer that's got to be worth something. I'm gonna find that one day.
You should.
Did I tell in one of the previous episodes that I found my Ren and Stimpy membership card?
I don't think so.
So going through like old stuff, like as you're throwing away, and I just couldn't throw it away. It was I must have wrote away to Nickelodeon back in the day, and I got my Ren and Stimpy fan club card. And like there's an oath on the back, like I'll have to.
I will not whiz on the electric fence.
It's very, very similar. Like I will only watch the Ren and Stimpy show. I will whatever. And then I looked at the bottom. It says expiration date, Yak Shaving Day of 2001.
Yak Shaving Day.
Like that was one of their things. Like there was they like celebrated
2001.
Yak Shaving Day. So I probably got this in like what 91, 92.
Yeah, I wonder why they picked 2001. I still have my my Blockbuster card too. Yeah.
That'll be in the Smithsonian one day, buddy.
I know.
That's funny.
I saw like a meme a long time. The meme itself is already really old, but yeah, somebody saw there was like a Blockbuster card kind of covered in dirt on the ground, and it was like, oh look, a fossil.
That's exactly what they're going to be. Like I love when there's pictures of kids looking at a payphone. Like, what is this mysterious box?
So, a couple years ago, I was on a dating app, and somebody reaches out, and they're like, hey, I'm a matchmaker, and I think you match one of my clients. I'm like, okay. And so I get on the phone with them, and they get my pictures and all, like I get in their database, and then she's like,
This sounds like it's gonna get creepy.
nah, I mean it's weird. So then she's like, all right, like after we talked, she's like, hey, you're not really a match for this client, but I'll keep your information on file.
Okay.
I forgot all about it. It's been probably a good year and a half. I get a text message a couple days ago. Hey, this is such and such from such and such, different matchmaker, but same service, like different, whatever. So I was like just in their database. Hey, one of our matchmakers thinks you're a perfect fit for their client. Okay. So we get on a call, and by the end of the call again, she's like, you're not a match for the client. I'm like, what? I was like, what are you looking for? What did I answer wrong? And she just kind of laughed. And she's like, no, you guys just like want different things. But I'm like, well, that's the cop-out answer, because what I told her is I want like love and marriage and kids and all this, and whoever her client is paying her to find love. I assume they want all that stuff too. I don't think that person's
They
paying
just wanted
for
a one-night
call.
stand.
Yeah.
They were hoping for meaningless, dirty sex.
Yeah, like shit.
Underline, dirty
Yeah.
and meaningless.
But yeah, I just thought that was funny and weird. Like just kind of an interesting little.
That's like and that, like I said, dude, I couldn't navigate this world. I barely got my wife to like me the traditional way. I couldn't like do the dog and pony show because my neuroses would shine through.
Everybody says, oh, mine does, and that's the problem. Everybody says dating apps are kind of like ruining dating. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to wonder if it's not. I mean, I'm sure it's part of it, but I'm starting to wonder if it's not the dating apps, if it's actually text messaging that's ruining dating. It seems to be that transition. So. And what I mean by that is, all right, let's say the old way of doing things. You meet a girl any which way, and you schedule a date. Mm-hmm. Depending on when that date is, you might talk on the phone 1 or 2 nights before that date, and then you go on that date. And then depending on how that goes, you kind of rinse and repeat. And you keep doing that as the times you see each other get closer and closer and closer, and if it keeps going well, and the next thing you know, you're hanging out every day. Well, now with text messaging, and the way our brains are wired to be like a kind of addicted to it and seek satisfaction, gratification, response, now it's created this layer of maybe I send her a text, maybe she doesn't reply for a while, or maybe she replies, but it's like a little bit of a short answer. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe she's busy, right? Maybe she, maybe she's super busy, and the fact that she gave a one-word reply means like, wow, she really went out of her way.
Right, because you don't even know the
personality. But you don't know
at that time. Yeah.
So like in that moment, you get a one-word reply, and you're like, well, okay, either I'm bothering you, or you're just being guarded, or you're busy.
Or a combination
of all of them, and they're all fair, and I have no idea. But I'll tell you what's cool. So this girl, that I went on a date with, she is, she's guarded. And I don't know that she's guarded specifically with dating, but because she actually told me that, like, she's slow to give out trust and affection, but when she gets there, it's worthwhile. Which I appreciated. But I told her in text message, I was like, hey, I'm feeling that sometimes, like, as when I do text you, yada, yada, like, you're a little short and I can't tell if it's because of this. And I was like, just so you know, like, if you're a little short on time and you're trying to be nice and respond or whatever, just say, like, hey, I'm busy, I'll text you later. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, I could do that. And I was like, wow.
Clear communication.
Clear, honest communication, genuine response, and without like, that's after one date. That's kind of a big, the fact that it's the fact that I'm like kind of putting that out there after one date, it's a lot. And you said like you couldn't date today because of your neuroses, and I quickly said like, yeah, me too. And that's the problem. Like I shouldn't send a text after one date by quote dating rules. Like dating rules would say.
I never went by dating rules just because I'm not traditional anyways.
No.
At the closing table, my realtor was like, this was the most non-traditional sale I've ever had. But he knows me, went to school with me. He's like, that's Gary. He's like, his heart's on his sleeve, good, bad, or indifferent. But I agreed with the text messaging thing wholeheartedly. And the first time I realized it was, so me and my brother are about 10 and a half, 11 years apart. So we're at a bar.
Is that depending on which 7-Eleven you walk in? Or?
Yeah. It's just me trying to do the math. It depends on what month you ask. Sometimes we're there. So I'm going to be 40. He's just turned 29.
Yeah.
So like, you know, he's 21, 22, we're at a bar, and he's like, oh man, you know, I think I remember that girl from high school, like, you know, wow, she looks great. Like, I was like, go talk to her and buy her a drink. He's like, no, man, no. He's like, I'll find her on Facebook and be like, oh, I saw you at the bar. I was like, what do you mean? Like, no, like, you're here now. She's here now.
Yeah.
But like, in that 10-year gap between him and I, the text and the social media ruined this.
Yeah.
Like, ruined just having an eye-to-eye, honest, open conversation. And I was like, the worst she's going to say is, no, I'm here with friends, but it was good seeing you, you know. And he's like, he's like, you don't get it. That's not how we do it now. I was like, we're not talking about 50 years. We're talking about 10 years. What do you mean you don't do that now?
Now, I know. And then my nephew, you know, so call it like another 10 years younger, or, you know, 15 years or whatever than your brother. I remember when he was younger, and my sister was telling me a story about how a bunch of my nephew's friends were over and they were doing stuff inside or whatever, and my sister asked him something. Do you want something to eat? Do you want whatever? Right. I forget what it was. And my nephew was like, nah, we're going to go play. And my sister's like, that's awesome. And then she sees all his friends leave. And she's like, what do you mean you're going to go? I thought you were going to go play. He's like, yeah, everybody went home to get on their Xbox so we could play.
Isn't that crazy? Dude, I can't wait to smoke with you. I'll FaceTime you later. Yeah. Like, you know, it serves its purpose.
But we're together now.
But we're right here right now. Oh, my God. No, it's true, man. And who knows what it's going to look like. I think back, so being new at the house, my sister's family came over, my wife's family came over, all the sisters, the kids. And they did play outside. We have that big yard. And then yesterday was kind of rainy. So literally, they were in the kid area, all on their devices, just heads down. I'm like, man, it's just like, it used to be like the pile of bikes. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
The pile of bikes used to be there, and now it's like a pile of phones. And like, you know, like the pile of bikes became like the phones and everything. But, you know.
Well, have you heard of this, like NFTs, Non-Fungible Tokens? Have you heard of this thing? So I'm just kind of learning about it. So, okay, think of like a baseball card, right, in our day. And if you had that Mickey Mantle rookie,
right,
like that was worth something, right? And then I guess that still is. But, you know, think of a more generic baseball card.
A Jeter, even whatever. Like,
a Jeter,
you know,
just a regular run-of-the-mill Jeter card. I can scan that, right, copy it, and give you a color copy, but that doesn't mean shit to you, right? But that card itself, like that's the kind of collectible.
Right.
So think about something digital. Think about a song, right, that's on your computer. You can make as many copies of that as you want. Mm-hmm. Technically, there's only one original. And so leveraging blockchain technology, which is what they use for Bitcoin, they found a way to put a unique identifier on like the original source of something.
Really?
And so now they're called NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And that is a collector item, even though 1 million people have that song. But if you have the one that like the artist did something with and himself.
Crazy.
So, but and this is a bubble waiting to burst, but let me tell you why. Because now the big funny thing is, and you can do it with anything digital. Anything digital you can turn into an NFT. There's already like broker sites.
Digital artwork, digital music.
Yep, that's exactly what it's for. But get this is why I say that it's a bubble. I'm sure there's going to be something remaining where it remains a thing. But while it's new and people are trying to figure it out, so like, it's speculative in the beginning, right? People start spending all this money for all these collectibles because like they think they're going to like Beanie Babies or whatever, and then there's nothing.
Which was a zero.
So now what celebrities are doing is they'll like make a tweet about how stupid NFTs are, and then they'll turn that tweet into an NFT and sell it. Elon Musk made a tweet about NFTs, turned that tweet into an NFT, and last I saw, the auction was up to $1.2 million to, quote, own his original tweet, even though we all have it on our computer. We can all see the tweet, but to like own the original tweet. I don't know what that even means, but it's worth $1.2 million.
The only thing I can even wrap my head around that is like when artists do that thing like where the dude duct taped the banana to the thing, and it was like, that was art. Did you ever see that where like this artist literally took a banana, duct taped it to the wall, and that was like in an exhibit, and someone paid probably hundreds of thousands of dollars for something that. So
how do they if they want to put it in a different
exactly
does the artist go get another banana and just duct tape that one?
And then
that's dumb.
I forget in what it was, the 60s or 70s, they were trying to prove how art is subjective and how dumb it is, and someone literally took a urinal off the wall and had it displayed, and they were like, and people were like, oh my God, what is this artist trying to render and say, and he's like, dude, I pulled a urinal off the wall.
Right.
Like, you know.
That's like, I mean, I remember being.
And I like that stuff because I like collectibles and odd stuff and all that.
Yeah, but I remember even being a kid and going to the Philly Art Museum, and there's the big Brillo box, right? Like whoever that was, I don't know.
Was that Warhol?
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to sound stupid, so I think so.
We all know where we stand.
Yeah,
right?
on art. Yeah, but still, I'm like, I still don't understand it.
But you know what? Let's take that into cigars, and we talk about that all the time. Like, you know, you take a stick that if you took the wrapper off and didn't know what it was, you'd be like, oh, this is tasty, and you're like, oh, that's a $700 or whatever, a one-off, this, that.
Well, that's definitely true.
It's
the value, yeah.
How do you
Well,
determine
there's
value?
like a debate, right? Which is that some like bullshit artificial value, or if somebody actually spent it, like, no, that's what it was worth
it's
that
worth
day.
what you're willing to. Isn't that the old saying?
It's the old saying.
Are you? So now I'm about midway point, I would say, in the stick. Are you? Where's your
Yeah,
flavors at with
it's
it?
funny. You say, I was just thinking. I'm like, maybe I forgot we're smoking a cigar. We should probably talk about that for a second. You know what? I've been on autopilot. Let me get another.
Steady flavors throughout. No profile
Did it
changes.
mild? Get a little bit more mild?
It's mild, but I'm getting a lot of sweetness off the wrapper at the midway point, like on that retro hail. I know you don't like that word. I sound bouge. But
Bouge.
it's true. But man, it's steady and just good.
Super
it's
steady.
a good stick.
It is a very good stick.
I like this better than the Bull. The Bull was
Yes.
real mild and again a good stick, but I think they were like $25 a piece or whatever, and I'm not sure I'll have to look at the value of this guy.
Yeah. Did you win this one, or was this?
No, this was a trade.
Oh,
The
nice.
guy, like whenever I trade now, I'm like, listen, I like Maduro and Oscuro, and I want to try stuff I've never had. That's really what I do. And the guy's like, dude, I got 2 LFDs. And whenever I try to get them in pairs so we can do this kind of a
appreciate
thing.
Definitely appreciate it.
But it's just fun. Like I have sticks that I've tried, and even if I like them, I'm really trying to expand and say, listen, I like Maduro and Oscuro. What do you got? Oh,
Yeah.
I have these, and I've really liked them. Give it a shot.
Nice.
And then we try to, similar value type things, and it's been good. I like expanding the palate, you know?
Yeah.
We always talk about that. There are guys that for 20 years smoke the same thing and the same brand and the same box, and that's great. But there's so much to try. There's so much out there.
I know. That is. I kind of wonder, right? Like, are they doing themselves a disservice, or do they?
Or is that the smartest thing ever?
Yeah, or do they just kind of have it figured out?
Because I'll tell you, when I have my cheat day, I will tell you what pizza place I'm going to and what pizza I'm going to order. You know what I mean? Like that's.
This is good enough to eat, and it's keto.
Dude, I love it. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, they're like, how did you, when you lost weight? I'm like, cigars. Again, I know it's robbing Peter to pay Paul in health department, but it helped me.
You know, the answer though too is I'm still reading this book, Atomic Habits,
Right.
I told you about, and it really, with the diet, what it is like, you build a new habit, and it's amazing. Like now, I mean, in terms of the diet, so like now. I went on a date last night, and I mean, and her and I. This is another thing that's kind of cool. We kind of eat similarly, and I mean, we got nachos and pretzel bites, and we each had a skinny margarita.
Nice.
But like that's what we wanted, and you know, I didn't. Even 4 months ago, a bowl of pretzel bites. Once you have one, you know what I mean. That it's straight carbs. You have one, and you're just putting it down. But no, yeah, like 2 or 3. Because what happens after 2 or 3, you start feeling that little bloat in your belly almost immediately. And then like some signal center in your brain is like, this isn't your diet. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And then you start to, but it's good. It's a shift in the habits. It's great.
So we found at the new house, the local bar that's literally not even a mile from my house off the main road. And when my parents came over, they were like, let's order food. Like, we know the bars and the food that we used to order from by you guys. And I was like, well, wings are always my go-to as keto, I'm like, let's try their hot wings. So we did that. My dad's like, let's go pick it up, and I want to buy you a drink, celebrate the new house.
Nice.
And he kind of forgot in his mind, like when we got there, he's like, I forgot you haven't been drinking in a while. I was like, you know what? I want to have a beer with my dad.
Yeah.
Literally, I had one Yingling draft. It was delicious. I missed the taste of it. But like you said, I felt it immediately, and I was like,
You don't want another.
He was like, do you want? I was like, one beer. And I've never in my life sat down and had one beer.
Right.
I honestly, never. Like, how crazy. But it goes back to like I'm gonna be 40. Like I can't practice restraint. I can't
Right.
sit and have a beer with my dad. So I had a beer with my dad. A great experience. Celebrate the new house. But I didn't go overboard, and I didn't feel like I took 10 steps backward. I just had an enjoyable moment with
That's
my dad.
great. Yeah.
So some restraint.
Same.
I'm learning.
Yeah. No. Same. And because the thing is, that is the kind of thing. when you're on a strict diet and it starts, and for the first however long, depending on the diet you're doing and yada yada, it's okay to be 100% in that diet mode. And it's okay to say no to events because you have goals. But at some point, you're going to have to face life again.
Right.
Like at some point, you're going to have to go to a wedding. At some point, you're going to have to just have a beer with your dad. Like you're going to have those.
I don't want to miss that moment. I don't want to miss that moment.
Yeah.
Like imagine if I was like just.
No, yes, I know exactly what you're going to say. Yeah.
And FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. I just but life's fragile. And my dad, like, what if I was like, no, I'm being good. That's a memory like just him and I got to share. And it was just kind of cool.
Yeah, 100%.
I had a little fact.
Okay.
I don't know if we're but do you know what Ben and Jerry's original idea was going to be before they did the ice cream venture? And I love this fact because it totally ties into.
So it's like a different product.
Yeah, it was going to be like a.
I have a separate Ben and Jerry's fact.
Ooh, I like this.
But all right, what were they gonna do?
And the hint is it's not cocaine.
Okay. Is it guessable? Do you think? Or, I'm gonna say coffee because it just seems in that kind of craft.
That's a great guess. It's wrong, but that's a great guess because I was thinking about when they got together in the late '70s, they wanted to open a bagel shop. And when they did the research, they were like, these machines are ridiculously expensive. So when they did the cost analysis, like it wasn't. They were like, we're gonna have to sell X amount of bagels and all this. And at the time, late '70s. They just happened to see that Penn State had a $5 ice cream course, like how to open an ice cream business.
Really?
So like, well, for $5, let's take this class and see where it goes. Boom.
Really?
They wanted to sell fucking bagels. Yeah.
So
they had to be kind of local. They're in Vermont, so I don't know how.
Yeah.
There was no online stuff in the '70s.
Yeah.
But I just like how crazy. So like you think of Ben and Jerry's, they're like the experts in their field, right?
Yeah.
They intended to do something else.
So it goes to show you, right, in business that like the marketing, the sales, the infrastructure of the business is more important than the product. Now, whatever the product is, it has to be good.
Right.
But it's the machine of the business that's far more important than the industry.
And I've always, like, you start to realize that, like, people who open a McDonald's, they're not like, I love hamburgers so much.
No.
Like, they're like, no, there's an established business model, there's a need,
Just
it's
makes
there.
Sense. Somebody asked me, several people had asked me, why Primos? And my answer was, I wasn't looking for any kind of business. I wanted to be in the business of business. That's what I told them. And then I chose that to be the business for now.
Right.
So the Ben and Jerry's fact that I have in my head, I forget which one it is, Ben or Jerry. But when they were early on testing flavors and stuff, because they're kind of known as, they sort of created the craft ice cream movement in a way, or at least became the biggest.
And pop culture-y flavors and stuff.
Like big, bold flavors and like whatever. Two things. One is they added some pudding to their ice cream so it would melt differently.
I've noticed that. I didn't know why, but I've noticed that.
Another is, one of them, I forget which, has a small like smelling disability. And as a result, he can't taste as well. And that's why they had to ramp up the flavors.
Dude, that's
so it was
awesome.
like if it meets his taste, then it's dope.
You're 1,000% right with the melting differently. In my heavier days, one of my favorite things was to get fish food and like leave it out so it gets like half melty.
Yeah, I love fish food.
But it was almost like creamy.
Yep.
And to be honest, it's one of the things I love about keto ice cream is it melts differently because of the fat content is different. So like they actually recommend for keto ice creams that you leave it out like 15 minutes before.
Oh, because the keto ice creams freeze rock hard.
Dude, yeah.
I hate Halo Top, dude. Do you like? Is that your?
No,
I like Enlightened.
I've had Enlightened, pretty good.
Or Yasso.
To be honest, I go to what the hell is it? It's not Trader Joe's owns them, but they're the smaller brand.
Trader Jerry's?
No. But they have like keto breads and keto. Wow, why am I blanking on the store? That's terrible.
It's a store?
Yeah, it's a shop.
Aldi?
Aldi's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it Trader Joe's O's? I thought it was like they were rival brothers or something.
No, I think they're the same umbrella. That's what I don't know. I don't know. But in my head, I always thought they were under the umbrella. We will.
I thought it was similar to, what is it, Adidas, and there's something else, another like Puma or something like that.
Right.
They were like rival brothers, and I thought, we'll have to look it up.
But they used to start with zero carb bread, and now that's called keto. They had these bars that were low sugar bars, and those are not, like, they've actually like are capitalizing on keto brand stuff. Like even it's their stuff. It's cool. It's good. But they have an ice cream and
That's like when I got into CrossFit.
$2 or $3.
And paleo was like big up and coming in CrossFit at the time. And then it was weird, similar to kind of what like you experience something in your niche, and especially in like CrossFit and so niched.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you go to grocery stores and they have like paleo sections now.
Wawa has a paleo mix.
They also have cheeseburgers now.
So weird. You know what I think they're doing? They are trying to compete with Royal Farms. Royal Farms is coming hot and heavy for Wawa, dude.
You think that's what
I
it is?
do.
I see. The thing is,
They won't go chicken because I think they're not.
well, the thing is, Sheetz does burgers, and Sheetz and Wawa split Pennsylvania. So
Okay.
I wondered if they were going after Sheetz.
I may be wrong, but it's just like remember
Similar
when
thought,
Royal
though. They're
Farms
going
were
after
coming
somebody.
in. They're trying to expand. I miss Wawa when you could go in when I even was doing low carb before it was keto years ago. I would literally just go in and get like a pound of ham and a pound of cheese and keep it at work and like do ham and cheese roll-ups like for lunch.
Dude, I love ham and cheese roll-ups.
But they stopped. They don't do
You
cuts.
can't
They don't do
deli
deli
stuff.
anymore.
Yeah, because
Everything's-
everything's so pre-prepared. Prepped.
But it was one of the cool things, like, or even if, on the way home, if my wife was like, pick up a pound of cheese, I'd literally go to Wawa because no line. Like, you're not, I don't have to
Yeah.
go in the whole grocery store.
So it was even that recent, I guess, that they were doing it. That you were married already.
Oh, no, we were together like 07, 08 maybe.
Yeah.
They were still slicing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, I don't know why. I remember one time when I was like a kid, before the computerized systems or whatever, and it was a regular thing. After most of my lacrosse games, we'd go to Wawa on the way
Didn't you
home.
have to fill out a slip
You maybe at some point.
for the computer thing?
Maybe at some point, but in this case, it was like just going up to a deli counter, and we would go a lot of times because away game might be an hour away. So
Yeah.
after the game, grab a hoagie for the ride home. And I remember one time my mom going, Italian hoagie, whatever, and the person was like, all right, like what do you want on that? And my mom was like, lettuce, tomato, dry, whatever, and then an Italian hoagie. And they were like, well, what's that? Like, what do you, like, the person just didn't know. My mom's
Was it
like,
a kid?
Freaking know. Yeah, my mom's like, I don't know what, she's like, I don't know, like
Some
pepperoni and
Italian
stuff or
stuff.
something. Like, I don't know. I'm like,
Olive oil? But she wanted it dry.
Yeah,
Oregano?
whatever, I
Like,
just
throw
kinda
some
make
ham
it.
and oregano.
some of it, I don't remember the specifics, but yeah, I just remember it being a really funny interaction.
But that's another thing. Like those.
But you computerize stuff now, and everything's just more efficient.
Yeah, true. You can just go in and order. It's nice. There's like, but we laugh when we go into McDonald's now and we see like there's one kid at the counter and like you can literally go in and type what you want in.
Really?
Yeah. Have you been like?
I haven't been inside a McDonald's in forever. I probably eat McDonald's once every. It's not even my go-to fast food, and I
Yeah.
try not to eat fast food that often. But then, so McDonald's, I probably only eat a few times a year.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's a drive-through or hungover like Uber Eats. Which,
I've only done that once in my life, and man, that gets scary.
oh yeah, you're spending like $40 for 2 breakfast sandwiches.
At like 2 a.m. after a crazy night. My wife hates drive-throughs now because I'm keto. Our son, she's doing keto again, and my son is celiac. So she's like, it's a nightmare. We're like, we want this, but no bun.
Yeah.
My other kids want this. They always mess up something.
Yeah.
And it always usually is my son's where he's like, oh, I didn't want pickle, and like he already is
He already
bummed
has
that
to
he.
eat special.
I
so
know.
like,
It's just she's like so sometimes where I'm like I'll just do it through the drive-thru because I don't care. I'll talk to anyone. She's like, I just want to be able to type it in, see that it's correct,
yeah.
and I can see that it's done right. So I was like, no, it's a valid point. I didn't even think about that. But she's like, I hate it. She's like, it's such a long order, and you just want to do it fast.
It eliminates. I remember, they're going to go to that at the Primos at some point too. At some point. And that they kind of said that, like, if you get whatever, I don't know, like, let's say 1%. Let's say 1% of your orders come back like, hey, this was wrong. The idea is to eliminate the 1%. Like,
No, it's true.
Because you're good customer service. You can't argue with the customer and say, well, I made it how you said. You just have to say, oops, sorry, I'll make you a new
But
one.
it's nice to
now-
be able to point to the thing instead of
literally
type
what
it in.
you did.
But if it's anything like the online experience, I will tell you, I love ordering Primos online.
Yeah.
Because every option's there. They turned things into bowls for keto, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll get that Schwartzy and I want extra. If I want to add tomatoes, and they have the option for extra meat. So it's real user friendly. And
Things are cruising now. I'll have mine open this summer, hopefully.
Dude, that's gonna be sick. Now I'm gonna have to drive a little further, but definitely support my buddies Primos.
Yeah. Well, Maybe not when you're just ordering from home. That might be a little unreasonable. I'd accept you going to one closer to you.
Nope. I'm gonna have to get it like Uber. It's gonna cost me like $75 to have it driven out to like the woods now.
You order Uber Eats, but it's got to hit like FedEx, and then
You got to be the first drone delivery service in the.
dude, wouldn't that be awesome? You need a big fucking drone to pick up one of their hoagies.
Or the bowls that I order with the extra meat in it.
All right, man.
Yeah, finishing up here. But
Well, I did so much talking in the beginning that I have like more than half my stick left in
But
the
I'll
final
tell you,
third. But
steady flavors, no big profile changes except it did mild out, and I got that sweetness off the wrapper.
I'll tell you what, I feel like we need to find a stick we're gonna hate. I feel like because every episode, for the most part, like, well, we know what we like, and obviously we don't pick sticks we don't think we're gonna like.
That would be a great idea for an episode. Let's try a stick we may not like.
Yeah, like just pick a completely random stick. We already know what we're gonna do next, though.
Right.
The Tobacco Special, like a nice, good intro beginner stick for some people.
And a good intro to summer stick, good speed.
That is a good intro to summer stick.
Or a nice morning.
It's a great morning stick, and that's the thing. You're not. I mean, I'm not having morning sticks in
Yeah.
the winter.
Yeah, we will. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in the winter, I mean. But in the summer, a morning stick is like
And especially the
some
tobacco.
coffee and the tobacco and that morning dew, starting to warm up.
Now I'm excited for next week's stick. I'm enjoying this, but I'm excited for next week's stick
I
too.
know. Well, I think I said to you, I'm like, when I suggested that for the next episode, because we were like, we just picked this stick yesterday, so we're like, let's get next week out of the way too. Let's figure out what we're gonna smoke. And I was like, dude, let's go back to our roots. You know, that's.
I remember that being one of the first things I may have brought over to you.
Well,
Or suggested, you bought that one.
Did I buy that? I think I happened to buy that one, and then it just so happened I sent you a picture, and you were like, "Oh,
Dude,
that's like one of the sticks that got me into it."
Yeah, big
and
time.
that was very much the stick that got me into it. That was the first stick I went back and bought like more of
that
to
cool?
keep smoking. And now it's funny, and I think you've said this with some other sticks. You know, the ones that you were into in the very beginning, you still appreciate, and that's why I'm like, yeah, let's go back to our roots on it, because coming into the nicer weather, it's spring now, but. You know, that would have been a stick I would have wanted to smoke every day, and now, no way.
Few and far
But it's a
between.
treat when you do.
Oh, it does. It is.
Going back to your roots, getting back to some of that lighter sticks. I'll tell you what, the first couple of puffs of this one, I thought was going to knock me on my butt. I actually thought it was going to be like strong tobacco, or nicotine rather. And I do think it's got a good. It feels to me like it has a pretty good nicotine content.
It does.
But I'm not getting sick from it.
Nope.
At all.
Smooth, mild it out, sweetness off the wrapper. I will definitely smoke this again.
I'll have to try more of their sticks, I think, now too. Even though the wrappers, doesn't appeal to me, and normally just gravitate to stuff that looks cool too. But
And I've seen some consider
Classy.
this a boutique brand too. So I
Really?
don't know how much they make of whatever and whatever. I don't even know what constitutes a boutique brand, but I don't know if they have to produce X amount of sticks less than whatever. But
I don't know.
interesting to look and dive deep into that.
Well, I won't make people watch me light my cigar for the fourth time. So we'll wrap up here, and then I'll go ahead and finish this bad boy up. So,
Absolutely.
As always, long ashes.
Stay smoky, everybody.
Thanks for checking out the Cedar Culture Podcast. If you'd like that episode, go ahead, tap, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is on your platform of choice. And if you are on YouTube, hit that bell as well to be notified of new episodes. It really helps us out. We appreciate it.
And then don't forget to head over to Instagram and Facebook and follow us as well.
Do it.
Do it.